Good evening, friends. I want to take a few minutes to explain my understanding of simple and compound time. And to explain this, I'm going to use 6 hymns from the SDA hymnal to try and just explain my understanding. I'm going to use the song Joy to the World, Amazing Grace, 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, to show what 2/4 time, 3/4 time, and 4/4 time look like. And then I had mentioned earlier that I understand 6/8 to be a compound 2/4, 9/8 to be a compound 3/4, and then a 12/8 to be a compound 4/4. And usually when you're thinking of a 2/4, you're beating 2 to the measure. So you're having a song going 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's 2 beats within the measure. If one is thinking of 4/4 time, 3/4 time, you're beating 3 to the measure. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 4/4 time, you'd have a beat that goes 4 to the measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, beating 4 to the measure. So an example of 2/4 time would be Joy to the World, something like Joy to the world, the Lord is come. 3/4 time, an example I want to use is Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. And I'm beating 3 to the measure. And then an example of 4/4 time, beating 4 to the measure is 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus. So it's something like 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word. I'm beating 4 to the measure. So those are examples of simple time. So if one would like to give an example of compound time, a good example of a 6/8, which is a compound 2/4. I'm beating again 2 dotted crochet beats to the measure. So I'll use There Shall Be Showers of Blessing as an example. So it is, there shall be showers of blessing. This is the promise of love. So I'm beating 2 to the measure, 1, 2. But within each beat, I am picking up 2 dotted crochet beats within the measure. So that's a typical example of a 6/8, which is a compound 2/4. I want to look at an example of a 9/8, and where a 9/8 I mentioned is a compound 3/4. An example would be from the song Seeking the Lost. Within the stanzas you're singing, it's a compound 3/4 or a 9/8. So it is seeking the lost, yes, kindly entreating wanderers on the mountain astray. So you're beating 3 to the measure. It's a 9/8, a compound 3/4. The chorus of that song is a 12/8, which is a compound 4/4. You'll be beating 4 to the measure. So you have something like going afar upon the mountain, da 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 da, da 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 da. So the 12/8 is a compound 4/4. You beat 4 to the measure. So you wouldn't do what some people would do, where you make it sound like it's a 3/4. Going afar upon the mountain. That makes it a 3/4 as opposed to the compound 4/4, which is a 12/8. Going afar upon the mountain. So that's an example. So I'll just repeat the example of a compound 2/4 or a 6/8, where we looked at there shall be showers of blessing. This is the promise of love. We are beating 2 to the measure, but within each beat we have a dotted crotchet. So that's your typical 12/8, a compound 2/4. If you're looking at a 9/8, like I must tell Jesus, a compound 3/4. 9/8 is a compound 3/4. I must tell Jesus all of my trials. I cannot bear these. And then looking at a 12/8, which is a compound 4/4. Going afar upon the mountain. I hope that in some way will help explain the concept of compound time, where a 2/4, a 6/8 is a compound 2/4, a 9/8 is a compound 3/4, and a 12/8 is a compound 4/4. God bless. I hope that was useful.